I'm Jonathan Keaton, and right beside me is Michael Wood, and welcome to 1497 Podcast.
And we've got you covered with news from the entertainment world, intriguing interviews, everything to do with sports, and of course, we're going to make you laugh along the way.
And I want my damn respect too.
Yo! Welcome back to the 1497 Podcast, baby. Come on! It's your boy Jonathan Keaton in the cut. Right next to me, it's the greatest co-host to ever touch the mic, Mr. Wood, aka Michael Wood, aka the Woodster, aka Woody, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Michael Wood! Michael Wood!
What's up, John, man? It's a honestly, I don't know what word I could use to describe this day, but I'm happy, man. I am full of jubilation because Patrick Mahomes has been eliminated. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. The Bengals are going to do it, man. They're going to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl for the first time since I think '88. So, man, just outside of football, I mean, I've had a good day as well. Yeah, that's the only thing on my mind really through this whole day is I'm still in disbelief that the Chiefs lost. I don't know how it happened, but how are you doing today?
Man, from football purpose, I'm doing wonderful. The Bengals winning just rejuvenated my mood. I wish it was the Bills because I honestly think if Bills played, they would be in the Super Bowl right now. But it is what it is, and I'm just happy to see the Chiefs out of the Super Bowl. And then out of that, I've just been relaxing, just been chilling, doing all that. That's about it.
Yeah, I mean, same here. You know, I had a couple classes I had to get to, but other than that, nothing much. But let's get right into it. We're talking about the game, so let's talk about it. Talk about this weekend. Since we're already on it, let's continue with the Chiefs Bengals. The Bengals came up big, down 18, came back and won. Mahomes and the Chiefs only put up 3 points in the second half. So, who is that loss on? When you're the Chiefs, who's the loss on?
That's a good question. Because in the first half, you're thinking to yourself, okay, the Chiefs are on pace to score at least 40 points the way that they were playing. It was like they couldn't be stopped. And I think the stop that they got on Tyreek Hill the tackle that they got on Tyreek Hill to stop the touchdown was one of the biggest plays, if not the biggest play of the game. So if I'm the Chiefs and I'm looking for someone to blame, I'm going to put it on two people. I'm going to put it on Patrick Mahomes, and I'm going to put it on the defense. But I'm going to put it on more of Patrick Mahomes because Patrick Mahomes has been in these situations before in overtime last week where he drove down the field like it was nothing and got the game-winning touchdown. I think he was trying to rush into getting down the field as fast as he could so he could get that touchdown. And he said himself, this game is on me, which is expected because he's the star player of the team. But then on the flip side of it, the defense can't allow 21 straight points or 24 unanswered points and they just don't have a stop in between that. So I said most of the blame goes on Patrick Mahomes, but if we're looking for a second slot, it's got to fall on the defense too.
Yeah, I agree with Patrick Mahomes, and there's a few reasons why. I'll start with bringing up something you already talked about. You said Tyreek Hill got stopped on that play, which is right. I mean, Tyreek Hill got stopped, but he had, I think, 70 yards in the first half. In the second half and overtime, Tyreek Hill, yards, receptions, put up a goose egg. And it seems like I'm kind of going after Tyreek Hill here, but no, I'm going after Patrick Mahomes. This is guy who's probably the fastest player in the league. Honestly, one of the fastest guys in the world. I'd probably put him top 100, which is saying a lot. You can't get him the ball, and maybe it's Andy Reid who wasn't calling plays, but he was calling enough plays to get him the ball in the first half, and I'd like to think that Andy was calling plays to get him the ball in the second. But the problem was, if you saw it, the Bengals were rushing three. the second half. They were rushing 3. Then after about like 2.5 seconds, a fourth guy would come in and then chase after Mahomes. So he had all day to throw. I know it's hard throwing in 8-man coverage, 8-man, 7-man coverage. But if you're the star player, you got to fit. Listen, a guy who got eliminated, who we both like a lot, is Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers did not play great against the 49ers. He didn't play bad, but he played average. Patrick Mahomes played bad. That first half, really good, near perfect first half. But then he closed terribly. He did a reverse Dak Prescott, where Dak normally starts off bad and then plays phenomenal. That was one of the worst performances, not only that I've seen from Patrick Mahomes, that I've seen from a quarterback in the playoffs. I'm honestly extremely disappointed in what Patrick Mahomes put up yesterday. And listen, I think he might be the most overrated player in the league. I'm just going to go out there and say that real quick. But yeah, that game is on Patrick Mahomes, and huge hat tip to that Bengals defense, because they did a great job. Bengals DC did a great job containing Mahomes because he likes to use his legs. But yeah, other than Mahomes, I find it hard to point the finger at really anybody else as just one person. So yeah, I got to go with Mahomes.
Yeah, I like that answer too. And then it's so hard to just rush 3 to Mahomes because you give him so much time, and that's his whole game. It's just maneuvering and making stuff out of nothing and turning those nothing plays into big plays. The Bengals did a really good job of that on how the 3 men didn't get to Mahomes, excuse me, but they kept him in the pocket for so long that when that blitzer came in, he was able to either contain Mahomes and keep him in the pocket to throw it away, sack Mahomes, or make him run out the pocket, but it's not for a big game. So going forward, every single AFC team, when they go up against the Chiefs in the playoffs, they're going to look at that game. That game is going to be a real prime example on how to stop the Chiefs.
Yeah, it's the same. Teams are going to use the same blueprint. I agree with that, because a lot of teams like to send 4, maybe send 5, and then have a QB spy. You're occupying 5 or 6 guys then on just Patrick Mahomes and getting to Patrick Mahomes. Whereas the Bengals had 6 or 7 guys in coverage, which is so valuable, especially when you're playing a team with as many weapons as the Chiefs have. A team with we're going to move on to the NFC, because unless you have something else to say about the AFC.
Nah, that's about it.
Because the Rams, Sean McVay has never beaten Kyle Shanahan until yesterday, when he advanced to his second Super Bowl. And I don't want to ask you who the blame is on for the 49ers, because I think we both kind of have a agreement, and that's got to be the quarterback. But Deebo Samuel got hurt, and I have a question for you that's interesting.
Oh,
do you think, not player, because I think he's one of the best players in the league, do you think Deebo Samuel is a top 5 wide receiver? Wide receiver, not player.
yeah, I would definitely throw him in there. I would definitely throw him in there because of the stuff that he can do with the ball in his hand at receiver. And the reason, I'm going to explain that a little bit. When Jimmy G has gotten the ball to Deebo Samuel and not running the ball, like just catching the ball, Deebo Samuel is able to make those top 5 catches. And on top of that, he's able to add yards after the catch as well, because he's just so fast. He's so elusive. And it's just it's a dream. It's a gift from God. Deebo Samuel is a gift from God. He is just so versatile. And I would definitely throw him in that top 5 receiving range. I'm pretty sure his receiving yards is around the top 10, cracking the top 5 area. But I'd classify Deebo as a top 5 receiver.
Okay, I agree with you. I do think he is, but I can't remember where I heard it. An interesting argument was made that if you're going to put Deebo as a top 5 receiver, you got to put Cordell Patterson as a top 10 receiver. Because Cordell does everything Deebo does, just at a slightly smaller scale. And I'm not sure that I disagree with that, because Cordell also returns kicks. Returns punts and kicks. So it's not like he isn't doing I think it's an interesting argument. I think I'd probably not put him there just because there's so many good receivers in the league, but I do think it's an interesting argument, and one if someone made, I wouldn't necessarily disagree with.
For that argument, I say it's a little bit different because most of Cordell Patterson's play with the Falcons has came from the rushing attack. So like if you were to be like Cordell Patterson's a top 10 back in the league, I wouldn't disagree with that at all because he has shown when he's coming out the huddle, when he's coming out the pocket, that he is a threat at running the ball. Now, receiving wise, Atlanta hasn't really explored as much of his receiving abilities as they have with his rushing abilities, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just think it's an interesting argument because when you look at all-purpose yards, which is kind of what Debo is. Debo, a lot of people are like, he's the best all-purpose guy in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Debo's third and Cordell Patterson is sixth. So and Cordell, a lot of his yards. Cordell's at about 1,500 and pretty evenly split. He's got 600 rush yards, 550 receiving, and then 430 returning yards. So listen, Cordell probably not top 10, but yeah, I agree. Debo's a top 5 receiver. But will the 49ers be back with Jimmy G? I think that's the most interesting thing to come out of this game.
I think they should keep Jimmy G. Like Jimmy G as a starting quarterback, he's 35-15. And on top of that, he's 2-0 against Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs. And not only that, he's 4-2 in the playoffs over his career. So you're probably, if you're listening to this, you're probably like, well, why wouldn't you get rid of Jimmy G? You already got Trey Lance. Jimmy G could be a good cornerstone for Trey Lance. Trey Lance can learn how to develop as a quarterback from Jimmy G. How can he win as a quarterback from Jimmy G? Because Jimmy G, when the lights shine the brightest, Jimmy G is one of the most clutchest players in the NFL, despite yesterday. And then on top of that, too, Jimmy G knows how to win. Like, I hate when people say the 49ers can't win with Jimmy G. They literally did that 2 years ago. The only game they didn't win was the Super Bowl. But other than that, they were able to get to that point. So if I'm the 49ers, I'm looking at it as we could possibly have 2 great quarterbacks. I want to keep Jimmy G here for the development of Trey Lance and let Trey Lance develop off of Jimmy G, because Trey Lance hasn't even played a full season now. He only played 2 games. So we don't really know what to expect. So I expect Jimmy G to stay in San Fran. Also, he's got a good relationship with the general manager, John Lynch.
Yeah, this is a really, really tough decision because, like you said, Jimmy G's a winner. I said it going into the Cowboys game what you said, that when the lights shine the brightest, that's when Jimmy G plays the best. But unfortunately, yesterday that was not the case. But here's the deal with Jimmy G. You said what, 4-2 in the playoffs? He's led them to a Super Bowl and he's led them to a conference championship. That's pretty good. I mean, listen, that team can be as good as you want it to be, but you can't really complete it without a quarterback. But the reason I actually think that they should get rid of him is because Jared Goff went to a Super Bowl. I mean, Jared Goff is a winner. Jared Goff is what, 3-1 in the playoffs. So a lot of teams, the saying is you're a quarterback away, like the Rams. The Rams, everybody knew the Rams were a quarterback away. They get Matt Stafford, look where they are. And I mean, listen, the 49ers were very close to being in the same spot. But if could you imagine Matt Stafford on the 49ers? That team, instead of the Rams keep Jared Goff or something. That team they're the NFC favorite right now. I mean, or they represent the NFC. So I do think they're going to let go of Garoppolo, or I think they should. I don't know what they're going to end up doing. I think they should get rid of Garoppolo. You're going to have Trey Lance. But another interesting scenario is Aaron Rodgers is currently, looking at his options. Aaron Rodgers is from California. And listen, he might be tired. He might pull a KD. He's tired of getting beat by the 49ers, might join the 49ers. And that would be interesting. I think that team would then become the NFC favorite, especially if Tom Brady has officially retired for sure. So I think the 49ers have a lot of options. And personally, Jimmy G just is not the best one for him.
So with Jimmy G, I got a couple questions. I got a couple questions. So since you think Jimmy G should be traded, what team should be going after Jimmy G?
Ooh, see, like I said, a lot of teams think that they're a quarterback away.
Mm-hmm.
What? Okay, you might think this is a little crazy. What about the Buccaneers?
Ooh.
The reason I say this, Jimmy G is obviously he's much worse than Tom Brady is. Not much worse. Jimmy G's a good quarterback. Don't want to slander the guy. Jimmy G is a good quarterback, but he's not top tier quarterback, and that's a lot of times what you need. But listen,
Wait, top tier as in like top 10 or top tier as in like top 5?
top 10. Jimmy G is not a top 10 quarterback. Get out of here. He's a top.
Go on.
Jimmy G's a winner. He's not a top 10 quarterback. A lot of guys are able to win, but when you think about like the most recent Super Bowls, how many of them have had a quarterback like Jimmy G that's known for just being a winner? I can't think of one. I mean, the Eagles with Nick Foles, I guess, but Nick Foles has like 2 NFL records for passer rating in a season, I believe, and then touchdowns in a game. Jimmy G I don't think he's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. He can get you there. Jimmy G can get you there, but he can't win it for you. And that's what we saw. Jimmy G, he's able to play quarterback. That's what he can do. He can do that really, really well at a pretty high level. But then when you need him to make a play in the regular season, Jimmy G is going to make it. He'll do it with the best of them. But when you need him to make a play in the playoffs, he looks like that kid from Eastern Illinois that got no Power 5 offers. So as good as Jimmy G is, and as much as I want to say that he can be a quarterback for a Super Bowl team, I think the team has to be set. Like the team has to be set up. All they need is a quarterback, kind of like the Rams were this year. And I think the Buccaneers would be a perfect spot for Jimmy G to win a Super Bowl if he was going to have a shot at doing that. But obviously, I don't think the Rams would give him to a team like that. So we'll see. I think that Jimmy G's time in San Fran should be done, though.
I like the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers is not far-fetched at all. Because, like, if you're Bruce Arians, you're going one or two ways. You're either starting Kyle Trask and developing Kyle Trask. You get another QB in this draft, which is it's either you get Matt Corral or Kenny Pickett, or you trade to get a top-tier QB you get a top tier QB, or you just wait the free agency. So if they can try to get their hands on Jimmy G, they can do that. And I do agree with you that if Super Bowl, like you're in the Super Bowl and you need a quarterback to win, Jimmy G's not that guy. Like we saw that in the previous Super Bowl that he was in against the Chiefs, that he can win. But the reason I say top 10, the reason he has crept into my top 10 is because the dude knows how to win. And I think if you don't have that factor in your quarterback play, like it doesn't define how great you are. Because when he has won, he has made those winning plays, which brings into my next segment, which is clutch. Like Jimmy G is clutch too. And if you have those two factors, I think that you should be thrown in the top 10.
Okay. Why do we always say on here that Aaron Rodgers is better than Tom? Skill-wise is better than Tom Brady.
Because he can make that one pass Brady can't.
Name me a quarterback in the NFL that Jimmy G can out-throw. I can't. I honestly don't know if I can. Jimmy G,
like he gunslinging, throw like 400 passes.
I'm like, hey, Danny Dimes, throw it into that bucket over there. Danny Dimes misses by like 40 yards, right? Listen, there's a lot of quarterbacks because Jimmy G is, I would say, 15. He's teetering around 15. I can't go top 10. I can't go top 10. There's a lot of guys in the NFL. I was going to try and pull it up real quick and do a quick little top 10, but I'm not going to do that. He threw 20 touchdowns to 12 interceptions in the regular season, that's not great. It's not. His QBR was 13th, which is why I'm saying he's in like the 15 range. He had just under 4,000 yards, which isn't bad. The only thing he doesn't really get is touchdowns, and he throws a lot of picks. So I can't go and say that he is a top 10 quarterback. But listen to this: in the playoffs this year, they had 2 wins. In those 2 wins, he threw for under 200 yards in both of them, and one of them under 150. Both of them with 1 pick, no touchdowns. And then in their loss, he was 16 for 30, which is 53% completion percentage, 2 touchdowns and 1 pick. And the pick was on a terrible decision by him on a Carson Wentz type play. Just somehow, I don't even know how he got the ball out, just kind of like threw it and it was a pick. And interestingly enough, in those games, none of those are good games. None of those are good games. Jimmy G got sacked 4 total times, and all 4 were against the Packers. In the Cowboys and the Rams game, he didn't even get sacked, and he was playing not very good football. So he is a very good regular season quarterback, but when it comes to the playoffs, so far in his career, he's been carried by defense.
That was pretty good. I will step back from that. I will call him top 15. But I will say this: if we can't throw him in there, despite the great regular season he has, he's sounding like Kirk Cousins.
Ooh.
And Kirk Cousins I think he's in your top 10 too. He's definitely in my top 10.
The thing with Kirk Cousins is Kirk Cousins is better than Kirk Cousins is just better than Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, more yards, more touchdowns, only 7 picks this season. Had one of the best touchdown interception ratios. Kirk Cousins was really, really good this year. I probably have him around the 9-10 range. Not much higher than that, but Kirk is like, he gets the numbers, but he doesn't really win. That's what he's at in his career. So it kind of depends on what you value when you look at a quarterback, winning or stats. Because Stephen A did like his top 5 quarterbacks of all time. He had Patrick Mahomes at 4 and Aaron Rodgers at 5. So, and I don't really know he didn't really give any reasoning. So that's whatever. That's him. But some people value winning more, and they'll put like Joe Montana as their second best quarterback of all time, which I respect. It kind of just matters on what you value. And personally, for me, football's such a team game that I value stats more when you're ranking like currently. If we're ranking all time, Jimmy G and Kirk are closer than they are right now, but Kirk is playing at a level that very few people are playing at right now, in my opinion. So I'd probably have Kirk above Jimmy G.
No, yeah, I respect that. What's next on the tab?
Oh, well, we just talked about Jimmy G and his future, how it's over. Now we got to talk about Matt Stafford, the winning quarterback of the NFC Championship, and whether or not his legacy is tarnished by a loss in the Super Bowl.
Well, before we even get into that, the 49ers should have won yesterday. That's the last thing I was going to say. With that pick, I don't know how he dropped it, but I mean, wow. That just wow. Anywho,
yeah.
I don't think it's tarnished because think about it this way. Matthew Stafford goes to a team, right? He wins the Super Bowl with that team. That team is the Rams. He wins the Super Bowl. The narrative will be Matthew Stafford can only win when he's on a great team. When he loses, Matthew Stafford went to a good team, but he just doesn't know how to win. Listen, if they lose the Super Bowl to the Bengals, that's a 30 for 30 for the Bengals. But that's a different conversation for another day. Anywho, I don't think it tarnishes his legacy as a quarterback because what Matthew Stafford individually has done for the game and what Matthew Stafford has done for this season. And now, if Rodgers leaves the NFC, Brady's gone, it kind of opens up the conversation for the Rams are instantly the favorites out of the NFC, because if you think about it, let's say Rodgers goes and then Brady's gone. Who's the next best quarterback or tied with Stafford in the NFC?
Kyler, Russ. Kyler, Russ. Who else even is there? I mean, it's like Kyler, Russ, Matt Stafford, and then honestly, like Matt Ryan.
Exactly.
Look, honestly, Jameis Winston is a guy I would have up there. Dak Prescott, we're forgetting. But yeah, there's not a whole lot of guys in the NFC.
Yeah, and then with those teams too, Russell Wilson's in a situation where the Seahawks are in absolute shambles. Kyler's in a situation where Cliff Kingsbury has no idea what he's doing. Matt Ryan's in a situation where you got Kyle Pitts, but ultimately you can't get the ball to Kyle Pitts because he's eating either turf or not artificial, real grass every Sunday. And then the list goes on. And then Jameis Winston's in a situation where he just lost Sean Payton. So even if they lose the Super Bowl, they can definitely make it back to another one. So that I don't think it tarnishes his legacy at all.
Okay. I think it does. For the rest, and you're right, they will have a shot to come back if they lose.
Mm-hmm.
But for the whole next year, Matt Stafford's going to be criticized as the guy who just can't win. All that he's done in the playoffs is beat teams he's supposed to beat. And then when it comes to the final game of the season, the game that matters, that everyone is like, this team is going to win the Super Bowl because the Bengals are not better than them. And Matt Stafford loses. Not only does he lose, but he puts himself in the conversation with a guy like Jared Goff, who I've already brought up. He made it to the Super Bowl with this Rams team that is very good and loses in the Super Bowl. How does that make Matt Stafford any better than Jared Goff? It doesn't. So for the whole next year, we'll be talking about how Matt Stafford is overrated, how he made it just as far as Jared Goff did. Because I think that's a fair argument. He is only as good as the Rams will only go as far as the defense takes him, not as far as Matt Stafford takes him. But if he wins, Matt Stafford is the key. I mean, Matt Stafford is an elite quarterback. I don't think people say he can only win with a good team. I think people say Detroit was just so bad, and Matt Stafford was putting up numbers on top of numbers, but no one else on the team was good. So I think that this does tarnish his legacy, at least for the next year, if he ends up winning it next year. But if he wins, man, Matt Stafford elevates himself to Aaron Rodgers' level, in all honesty, because we're talking about two guys with one Super Bowl. Two guys with one Super Bowl and great stats. So he'll be just below Aaron Rodgers, but he'll be really close to him if he wins the Super Bowl. And if he loses, he's right next to Jared Goff, as he was at the start of the season. So we'll see. I do think it tarnishes his legacy.
I think one other thing I'll say is if they don't win it this year, like I said, they got that 2-year window where you don't win it this year, so you gotta win it next year. And I think they'll basically have the same team. And then if they somehow have any money, they're gonna have free agents, or you'll have free agency. And I think a lot of free agents are gonna be like, hey, we saw what this Rams team did. Let's go to the Rams. We're in Los Angeles. Everyone's in Los Angeles. It's like it's a win-win situation. So it will attract free agents. And on top of that, to the Jared Goff comparison, I think Matthew Stafford, if it did come down to him losing in the Super Bowl, I think he outperformed Goff in each game that they were supposed to win. And that's going to be that little comfort seat that Stafford can lay back on, because he'll be able to be like, we were this close, but now we have an even better shot next year. It's like for the Bills, where we knew if the Bills won, they would have went to the Super Bowl. So we'll see. Time will tell. Time will tell.
I mean, you're not wrong about the stats part because, oh man, Jared Goff was bad in 2018 when they went to the Super Bowl. He was
Because that defense, my bad to cut you off too. That defense, 2018, was phenomenal. It was from passing defense to rushing defense. Hell, even the special teams, everything was spectacular besides the offense. This year, it's everything is spectacular about the offense. And then they lost Cam Akers, and then they got him back. And then that defense is, I wouldn't even say that defense is elite. That defense is subpar.
Yeah. Well, anyway, Jared Goff was not very good. He had one pick or one touchdown and 2 picks through the entire playoffs, whereas Matt Stafford is currently at 6 touchdowns and 1 interception. His passer rating is 115.6. That's on a scale of 158. It's very hard to get 158. And Jared Goff in that run was around 70, so subpar. So yeah, you know what? I agree with you. But still, all Matt Stafford is doing is taking a Rams team that everybody knew was good. He's taking them to the Super Bowl, going to the same spot Jared Goff went to, and just not winning it. Sure, you could say he outperformed him, but at the end of the day, he's didn't win. And it seems like in sports, I mean, I kind of agree with it. I think everybody does. All that matters is that you win. And that's kind of why you like Jimmy G so much, because that's what he does. Jimmy G just wins. So, and I guess that's kind of what Jared Goff does. But no, all seriousness, I think it's going to hurt his legacy. Not as much as I originally made it seem like it's going to hurt, but it's definitely going to leave a stain.
Shout out. I'm going to say this here, and I'm going to say this now. Damn near, I'm going to say this twice a week until Super Bowl Sunday hits. The Bengals are winning the Super Bowl. Out of all the stuff I just said and all the praise I just gave Matthew Stafford, Joe Burrow's getting the ring. Then they're making a 30 for 30 3 years
ago. Whole lot to unpack there. The Bengals are the team that we counted out for quite a while. If we're being honest, we talked about who's going to win the AFC North. Both of us did not say the Bengals. I think it was Browns. At one point in the middle of the season, I was like, oh, the Steelers are going to somehow win it. I was wrong. And you were wrong. Everybody in the sports media world was wrong about the Bengals. And just because of that, it seems like every time people pick against the Bengals, they win. And I don't really know who I want to win. But I'm just going to pick against the Bengals just because, I think picking against them, Joe Burrow he's going to be like, oh, wow, Mike thinks I'm going to lose, and he's going to take it personally. And it's just going to make it an even better game because all these Bengals games have been really fun to watch. So I hope the Super Bowl is no different. But I'm going to pick the Rams, and we'll talk about that more as time winds down and we get closer to it.
Facts. Speaking of cool things, because I know you mentioned the cool thing that you saw earlier with the Cordell Patterson thing. So there is this post on Instagram, and I was like, Justin Herbert runs out the pocket, he's creating the big play. When Patrick Mahomes runs out of the pocket, he is making a big play. Whatever. It's just praise. And then they go, when Lamar Jackson runs out the pocket, everyone says that he can only run and he's not making a play. So my question to you is, when Lamar Jackson, can we still call Lamar Jackson, or can we call Lamar Jackson a top 10 passer in the league at the quarterback position?
Well, no, he's not a top 10 passer, but he's a top 10 quarterback. And listen, I don't like to bring up this issue. I really don't. But in all honesty, that's just racist when people say Lamar can only run. Because if you watch Lamar Jackson play, he is a good quarterback, and it can't tell. It makes me a little mad when people are like, oh, he's a running back playing quarterback. All he can do is run. No, Lamar Jackson, the Ravens were horrible. They were the number 1 seed in the AFC, and then they fell all the way out of the playoffs when this guy gets hurt. And all due respect to Tyler Huntley. Mm-hmm. Tyler Huntley goes in. Everyone's like, oh, he plays just like Lamar. No, he doesn't. If he played just like Lamar, this team would be winning. He does not play any. he can run. Sure, he can run like Lamar. The only comparison why people said that Tyler Huntley and Lamar play similar, I'm going to go back to it, is because they're both black guys who play quarterback. That's the truth. And it makes me mad because Lamar Jackson is so much more than just a running quarterback. And people like to make it seem like that's all he can do. No, Lamar Jackson, you said it. Is he a top 10 passer? No, he's not a top 10 passer. I'll be honest with that. He is a top 10 quarterback because what you said. He rolls out of the pocket and he makes plays. Lamar Jackson is a playmaker. He is what I wish Carson Wentz was. Because Carson Wentz, his most similar play style for me, when I think about him, I think Carson Wentz and I'm like, oh, he's just like Lamar. But no, he's not really. Carson Wentz is a little bit more injury prone. I'm saying that as Lamar's injured. But yes, Lamar Jackson is a top 10 quarterback, not a top 10 passer, but a top 10 quarterback. And I'm sorry for going on a little rant there, but I hate when people say stuff like that about Lamar. I think it's really disrespectful considering this guy was an MVP just 2 years ago. And I believe the 1 seed in the AFC 2 years ago, and then would have been the 1 seed again this year. So Lamar gets way too much disrespect, and I've had enough of it. And I can't wait for him to come back next season and prove everybody wrong.
I'm right there. I'm right there with you because I was a guy for most of the season coming into the season. I didn't think Lamar was a top 10 quarterback, but he proved to me this season that he was. Because look at all the adversity the Ravens had to go through. Right, every single player was either close to the injury reserve list, on their injury reserve list, or somewhere else that wasn't in. Like they were just gone. They were just gone. And the wins that they were collecting on a week-to-week basis and the way that they were coming back on a week-to-week basis was absolutely phenomenal to watch Lamar do such a thing. And then he went down, and then Tyler Huntley came in, and then all that other stuff. But yeah, I think Lamar now after this season, he's in my top 10 too. It took me a while to say that, but he's in my top
10. Hey, you made a bold take. I'm gonna make a bold take.
Ooh.
The Ravens are winning. I don't know if this is really bold. The Ravens are winning the AFC North next year over the Bengals, and I really have no doubt about that. If Lamar Jackson is healthy, the Ravens are winning the AFC North. I don't see a way that they don't, unless Rodgers goes to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I could. What was that? One of our things today?
It was. We've kind of touched on it a little bit, so let's just give our top 2 destinations for Rodgers.
Pittsburgh and Detroit.
Detroit.
No, I'm playing.
Okay.
Pittsburgh and Denver.
I disagree with both of those.
Whoa.
It's Tampa.
Huh?
Tampa and Green Bay. Those are the top 2 places. And Green Bay, obviously, listen, it's not for sure that he's gone. That team was NFC champions. They have a few things to work on. Or, well, they weren't technically NFC champions. They were regular season NFC champions. Very well should have been they should be in the Super Bowl right now, if I'm being honest. Like that, it's just where they should be. But yeah, they have all the pieces that they need. They were missing a couple guys. David Bakhtiari got deactivated like hours before the game, so their backup left tackle was not prepared to play. So they had a lot of things go wrong for them in that game. I'm not making excuses, and then Tampa, you lose Tom Brady. If you lose Tom Brady, you are seriously just a quarterback away. I mean, and that's not saying Tom Brady was not good enough this year. The Rams, that was just a good Rams team. Matt Stafford made a good play at the end of the game. Cooper Kupp made a good play, and sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles. But the Bucs could very well be in the Super Bowl this year as well. So I think it's got to be either the Bucs or the Packers. And the reason I say your teams are wrong, I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. I'm just saying that because we listed off the top 10 or we tried to list off top 5 quarterbacks in the NFC. Mm-hmm. And we were talking about Matt Ryan and Jameis Winston. When we go to the AFC, the top 5 quarterbacks in the AFC are basically the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL. So that's the only reason I don't think he's going to go to the AFC, or I don't think he should, is because that is so competitive. I mean, you look at a guy like Josh Allen, who very well could be the best quarterback in the league right now, and he's having problems with a scrub like Patrick Mahomes. So no, I just think the AFC there's so many good quarterbacks in that division, so many good teams, or not in that conference, so many good quarterbacks and teams that it would make it really, really hard for Rodgers to try and make a Super Bowl run. So I think he's going to stay in the NFC, or he should.
That I agree. I am retracting my statements that I'm saying, and I'm 100% agreeing with that. That is a great point, because like if you're Rodgers and you're towards the end of your career, right? Like, why would you go out and make it harder for yourself to win in a position where you go to Pittsburgh or you go to Denver, and then if you go to Denver, it's like, holy crap, you play Justin Herbert twice a year, you play Patrick Mahomes twice a year, you'll probably play Josh Allen down that line. Derek Carr, I know Derek Carr is not, people don't put a magnifying glass on him and look at Derek Carr closely, but if you look at Derek Carr closely, he's a really good quarterback. And the list goes on and on and on. Where you're in the NFC, Brady's gone, Stafford's the man, then you're the next man out. So you got to go to somewhere you can win. I think he can still win in Green Bay, but I think his time is done in Green Bay. But the Buccaneers won. Today's episode is about manifestation, and I'm a manifester. That's a good one, Mr. Wood. That is a good one.
All right, is that all we have, or is there
I'm pretty sure that is all she wrote. I'm pretty sure. I was gonna talk about this new show that I'm watching. It's like old. It's very old. It's from the late 90s, called Dawson's Creek. It's gas.
Never heard of
it. It is.
I'll check it out. We'll see what it's working with.
Yeah. Other than that, that's about it. Like pop culture still doing its thing.
Kanye and Kim drama.
Yeah, Kanye still doing Kanye.
You heard the new Kanye song with like The Game or whatever?
Nah, is it good?
It's okay. I mean, there's a line in there that's like at Pete Davidson. It's I can't say it because there's a potty word, but I'll say it and then you can fill in the blanks. He's like, Lord, save me from this crash, so I can. Oh, the Lord save me from this crash, so I can beat Pete Davidson's.
Yeah. Oh man,
I think that's the line. I don't know if that's exactly.
Man, he's
exactly
about to smoke that Pete Davidson gas pack.
Yeah, no, Kanye's a weird guy, but hopefully he's happy, because Kim Kardashian just seems, and sure, she's a great woman, but the Kardashian family seems like it's a tough one to be entwined with. Yeah, it's a roller coaster.
Man, oh man. Well, I'm gonna start a GoFundMe page for Pete Davidson, and hopefully Pete Davidson is okay because he's with Kim. So yeah. Anywho, go subscribe to the 1497 podcast on YouTube and on all podcasting platforms. You want to. I'm just telling you so you can actually do it. Follow the 1497 podcast at 1497 podcast on Instagram, TikTok, and that little blue bird that is called Twitter. Me and Mr. Wood will be back on Thursday. As always, trust the process. Joel Embiid should just give him the MVP award now, him or Nikola Jokic. And they need to really reevaluate what MVP means. But anywho, I'm gone. Mike's gone. We out. Peace.